to tell you.
Want to tell you. To. I want to tell you.
I want
To. I want to tell you.
tell.
I want to tell you.
I want.
You want.
Want.
You.
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you. I want to tell you. I want to tell you. I want to tell you. I want to tell you.
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you.
Because at that stage it was surrounded. It was either Remy says, what will we do? Well, we fight it out. Well, I said, Remy, I remember saying to him, I says, well, if we do, we're dead. I says, will we chance this by, maybe we'll live to fight another day. I remember saying that to him. And the second time we came out.
I've been christened Mary Patricia, but I've always been called Patricia, and it caused a lot of problems with official documentation, but I'm learning to live with it.
My name is Alan. I'm called after my father. His second name is Alan.
The gates were locked and I couldn't work out, and I thought this was a setup. So I went and I abandoned the car 2 farms away and walked down through the glen at about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, crawled up the hill with my rifle in front of me, expecting to be shot at any time. Turned out that cattle had been out on the road. My mother had closed the gate in order to stop the cattle coming in.
I was called Lawrence.
That's the sort of thing
My
that
granduncle, though probably most of his friends called him Larry. Sometimes I'm called Lorne.
My name is Fran, given to me by my dad.
Rolling a big stone off one particular patch, and we came upon the remains of small remains of a person, and I suppose it's whenever you come upon something like that it really affects you, and you think human beings were killed here. Just as one of those things.
I was christened after Saint Anne because when I was born I was premature.
When I left Afghanistan, like other refugees or other asylum seekers, I really struggled to get a safe place. And I crossed the mountains from Turkey, from Iran, and from those parts of the world. And I came by truck, lorry, and in the containers, and in the boat, for example, for 20, 30 or 50 people in the same
Lawrence.
I was christened Kathleen Ann after my mother, Anne after one of the ladies in the village.
Just past the doors of the town hall it happened. And when the car blew up, most of it went over the road and into Jack's left side. He was going that way, all down his left side. And what didn't go into his body went up on top of the town hall.
I was called Roger after the athlete Roger Bannister, who in the early 1950s was about to break the 4-minute mile barrier.
A number of young men blew themselves up, or at least we presume that it was never established. They were making a bomb, or had a bomb, out on the border at Eden Tubber. And I would like to think that I took the first picture to television of this area to Belfast to be shown on the BBC. It was a picture of that house blown through smithereens.
About my life, how people are affected.
Life is changing, something I have experienced, which is being away from your country.
Complicated, sometimes tough. Wouldn't change a day, maybe one.
Always be optimistic because life is too short.
My childhood, to believe in yourself no matter what.
I know you understand. I've learned a lot. I'm happy.
Be positive, be strong, and be happy.
Don't give up on life, there is hope.
How my life changed, good and bad.
There was a lot going on all over the 6 counties. In 1976 I was arrested in Banbridge, and I knew I was going to Armagh, I knew I wasn't getting out. Just did not know what to expect, like it was in darkness. Just in and closed the door, and that was it.
At
Policing was quite difficult in both the County Armagh and the County Tyrone area in those days because there was a high level of terrorist activity, and obviously we had to take certain precautions when going out on patrol. There could be undercar booby traps. So instead of just getting into your car that was parked outside maybe at night because you had no garage, you had to take the time and the effort to check underneath the car to make sure there was nothing.
From the Ballymascannon end of things, and there was a checkpoint at the bottom of the Ballymascannon road, and they had asked the guard what was wrong, and he said that a body had been discovered. And they said they were looking for this man, and he allowed them to go up and see. And unfortunately, yes, it was Seamus, and they had identified.
This is my story. This is my story. This is my story.
This is my story. This is my story.
This is my story.
Mum and Dad can't work because they're asylum seekers, and if they were working, that would be good, but the law says when they're not allowed to work, nobody's allowed to work unless they get their status. And my mom, she's very sick. She doesn't really move anywhere because of her sickness. Like, she normally stays at home.
My story. This is my story. This is my story. This is my story.
On Thursday, Gareth got a threat from the Provisional IRA. He left the house on a Sunday morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock. Never seen him again.
Grandchildren now realise heartache, Mary Margaret.
International conflict, immigrants, Ireland. Ireland is beautiful. Peace is within.
I'm very kind.
I want to tell you.
My favourite colour is orange. My favourite sport is football. And I've never played golf.
What I have lost.
These doors open, and I remember running in, and I just saw sort of my dad lying. Well, in terms of my dad was covered up to here in a white sheet, and I ran over, just climbed on top of the table. I remember hugging him. I remember holding the back of his head where he'd been shot with the shotgun, where he'd been hit there. I remember grabbing him. I remember crying. I was crying, and I couldn't stop crying.
The battalion we joined was in Armagh, and it was the first battalion to take on Greenfinches. And I was the 5th member over the door that night. Well, in those days, we were specifically recruited as Greenfinches to search female people at check patrols. And we were
I was a bit older whenever the hunger strike was happening, and that was the one time I do remember not being comfortable. And you either went to school and you came home, or you went to work and you came home. You kept your thoughts to yourselves, and you really just kept your head down, and you were quiet and you got on with it. We were frightened.
Then they went in, shot up the bar. They then fired in a bomb and shouted, "Happy Christmas, you Fenian bastards." Daddy was probably killed instantly from what we've found out since. He'd been shot in the head, and then he got blast injuries from the bomb as well. The bar owner's 14-year-old son had been serving.
The situation at the moment, so many years on, I'm 59 years of age now, and I suppose not weathering it too well. I still have a load of shrapnel in the lower body. I have my artificial eardrum still, my shrapnel in the eyeballs, various circulatory problems. Last week I was diagnosed diabetes 2.
And happiness.
Almost 35 years, different cultures and good friends.
I want to tell you.
I am who I am, and fantastic people.
I want to tell you.
I want to tell you.
I am content. I am a golfer. I like Man United.
I joined the Fianna. Like most young people, the Fianna being a backup and a support network to the IRA and a stepping stone into the IRA. I joined the IRA just before I was 16. I remember getting sworn in because we all had to tell lies what age we were. You weren't allowed in the IRA till you were 18 and all this. I would carry on, you know.
prison, freedom, freedom in prison, people imprisoned on the outside.
My dad always encouraged me to do art.
A couple of, of incidents that I've really been racially abused by just young people, and even children of age 7, 14. There was a time I was harassed by some group of girls and boys, about teenagers, I would say. Again in Dublin, I was just walking home and I was pushed. They pushed me from behind and removed the cap I had on.
My dad always encouraged me to do art, so now I encourage people to do art. Daddy learned us how to...
I'd be from the north that the fear would emanate more than anything else. My belief and that of others would be that the danger really came from across the border. And I remember a friend saying to me, "You've seen nothing yet before this is through." All those horrific incidents were greeted with a certain amount of silence.
To decorate, because he was a decorator. Family, work, fun, mother, nana, friend, lover, and it's not done yet.
The company of our battalion was, I suppose, unique in that it made a significant weapon contribution to the Provisional IRA at one stage. They used to have a training hall in Drogheda, the Slua Hall, close to the Lourdes Hospital. And I suppose they never thought it was going to happen to them. But they had a training night on and a few guys arrived and relieved them of a number of rifles and submachine guns.
And it's not done yet.
When you murdered my sister Peggy, you broke my mother's heart and tore our family apart.
So a fight or a struggle or whatever you want to call it ensued between my mother and them. At no stage did she ever saying like, don't kill me, or it was just consistently, it was right through, look, take me away, don't let my children see this,
That's why we lost them through.
Yeah, I thought I'd been trouble because I didn't really know what.
Just an empty space. It's an empty space. It's an empty space.